Well, hello and welcome everyone to the Burlington premiere of Sing Aca-Film Festival. My name is Patty Janetta and I am a proud board member on Sing, the Toronto International Festival. Have you been before? You have? Great. Well, welcome back. And for those that are just here for the first time, it's so lovely to welcome you to this very beautiful theater, and we're so happy to see all of you. Burlington, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From Anishinaabe to the Haudenosaunee and the Métis, our lands spanning from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment are steeped in Indigenous history. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with the One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Tonight, all of you are in for a real treat. I just want to let you know that, a real treat. We start with Sing founding artist Countermeasure, who have been touring the world with their unique stylings of original music performed with stunning harmonies. Their 4 albums have earned accolades and awards internationally, and I know there are so many people that have seen Countermeasure. It's all they talk about for a long time after. Their latest collaboration is with the Burlington New Millennium Orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Countermeasure.
Another day to remember, another frame for the real, nose to the glass as the country dares past, and there goes a steam train, and there goes a barley field. Another chance to remember how this age came to pass. We waited so long for the chance to surrender, to weather the dangers of burdens and strangers at last. And if the world wasn't round, I swear I could see my own first step backward out the bassinet. Past summers and solace and storm,
everybody. How are we doing? Still with us, that's awesome. So as you've heard, Countermeasure has been incredibly lucky to travel across seas, across this beautiful country of ours, to share our joie de vivre, if you will. And because of the travel that we did pre-pandemic, hopefully getting back to it, the Canadian government temporarily appointed Tara Park and myself, Jana Antonacci, Canadian ambassadors for the dissemination of cultural information.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. It's in that role that we're here to ensure our set contains at least 50% Canadian content,
And it does, yes.
a little bit of French,
Oui.
there it was, and to impart to our audiences, both foreign and domestic, a little bit of Canadian cultural information.
That is right. So with that in mind, we are going to present you with a trivia question. It is in the form of multiple choice. So when you are prompted, we're going to need you to shout out what you think the correct answer is. Tara, take it away.
All right. What is true about the National Film Board of Canada's 1964 short film entitled 2187? Is it A, about the number of dogs that auditioned for Lassie in the original series? Was it B, the record-setting heaviest train pulled by someone's beard? Or was it C, inspirational to a little indie film that came out later called Star Wars: A New Hope?
So again, that is A, Lassie, dogs, B, beard train, or C, Star Wars inspiration. A, B, or C, folks?
Yes,
I
right
heard
in
a
the front.
very sure C right here.
And you are correct. George Lucas loved the NFB and was inspired by that short film 2187. And because of that, I think that Canada can claim the entire Star Wars franchise.
I agree. A cheer for Star Wars and a cheer for Canada. Well done, everyone. Canada would be proud.
This message was brought to you by the Government of Canada.
A little bit of culture.
Un peu de la culture, Canada.
How are we all doing out there tonight? Thank you. We are Countermeasure. My name's Jeremy, and this is our first show back in a long time. And yeah, thank you. You're in for a treat. You're going to see 3 films, and then we're going to come back and sing some more music for you. This is a brand new song called Anna Lee. I hope you enjoy it. You're still on my mind. Tomorrow's calling, but I can't leave you behind. Sure, I'm plenty older now, but my eager heart's the same as when we met. Have you found yourself another? Does he treat you right? Does your mind flow easy when you turn down the light? Would it please you to know that your shadow cast behind still remains? There's a little piece of you in every decent thing I ever did. Since the battle we've been through, you're in my heart, in my head. I unrightly wish I knew how my face and name have faded in time to regret. Annalie, you're still on my mind. Would my would your memory be kind? Should we ever meet again? Would I venture to explain? There's a little piece of you in every decent thing I ever did. Since the battle we've been through, you're in my heart, in my head. I unrightly wish I knew how my face and name have faded in time. Through regret, Emily, you're still on my mind. My heart's grown weary since our roads intertwine. Are they that walk away still entitled to their pain? Emily, you're still on my mind. Emily, you're still on my mind. Emily, you're still on my mind. Emily.
I have to say that being a board member all these years, a founding board member, has had its perks. And one of them is watching an act like Countermeasure from the first rehearsals become what they are today, a world-acclaimed, award-winning, fantastic Countermeasure music. That's all I can say. Well, tonight, you are a part of an exclusive and very intimate event. We are filming this evening for broadcast in our 2024 Sing Festival. Our specially commissioned films were collaborations between the filmmakers Sing artistic director emeritus Aaron Jensen and Countermeasure Music. These films have been shown worldwide in film festivals throughout the US and Canada, in Poland, Italy, and in Scotland. We thank the Canada Council for the Arts, the Wave FM, and field patrons, Dr. Victoria Lee and Dr. Philip Hebert, for supporting this project. We couldn't do it without them. So huge, huge applause and thanks to them. Right now, please keep those hands together and welcome Juno-nominated singer, broadcaster, and a fellow Sing board member, Heather Bambrick, to tell us about tonight's films. Heather Bambrick.
Thank you, Patty. Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is a delight to be here. This is a very special evening and a very special event. The Aca-Film Festival has themes that run throughout the films. The themes are challenge and resilience. And each film looks at these themes and the subject in a different way. It looks at it through fantasy, through dance, through animation. All of the films are underscored with original Canadian a cappella music, which means all creators of the films are Canadian. The cinematographers, the directors, the animators, the writers, producers, studios, and of course, the award-winning composer, Aaron Jensen. We begin with the first film, Be Inspired. Now, this is based on the famous painting Mount Lefroy by a group of 7 Canadian artist, Lauren Harris, as well as the story of renowned Canadian para-athlete Peter Egar. The film shows an animated version of Egar climbing Mount Lefroy in Lake Louise. At the end of the film, there's a little surprise, so stay tuned for that. Now, Aaron Jensen's music for Be Inspired draws inspiration from classic Hollywood adventure film scores. You'll hear when epic themes and orchestral arrangements are performed by singers, the result is pretty whimsical and homespun, and it's very much in keeping with the tone of the film. As the animation style becomes more sophisticated over the course of the short, you'll hear the musical score grow in depth and complexity in response. All music, all sound effects, all performed by voices, and all a cappella. So let's enjoy Be Inspired.
Hello.
We're going to take a moment now to meet the people that were involved in Be Inspired. Producer Mark Northwood. Well, actually, it's probably easier if, why don't each of you tell everybody a little bit, just rather than me read a whole bio, the nutshell version of your involvement in the project. Mark,
Hi, I'm Mark Northwood. The concept for this film was developed 20 years ago when I was a rock climber, and I met this gentleman, Peter Eager, who was larger than life, and this is Peter's story.
Love it. Becky.
My name is Becky O'Neill. I had the privilege of collaborating with Mark and Aaron and the rest of the crew on creating the animation for this work. So I'm the one that drew all of those pictures you just saw.
Love it. Aaron.
Aaron Jensen on music.
He gets all of his words out in the notes. And our two lead actresses over there on the end. Why don't you tell everybody your names?
I'm Brooke.
Hi, Brooke.
And I'm Maya.
Hi, Maya. Aaron, I want to start with you. In creating this, I mean, it was all a cappella.
That's right.
Tell us about the opportunities that gave you, and if there were any obstacles with regard to creating film work, film scoring, using just voices.
Well, the voice is very dynamic, very, because everybody can sing, there's a certain personal element to it, there's a personal side to it. So with each film, I feel like it's tapping into something different. With this piece, because the score owes much to its sort of cinematic aesthetic. This one actually started off with a bed track of sort of sampled pieces of like, kind of think of you're in the vein of this John Williams piece and then you're jumping over here. So my head was already sort of working in those spaces, and by having voices providing all the roles that would have been filled by percussion or the brass or the strings, it adds, I feel, an air of whimsy to it. As opposed to having like timpanis rolling and brass, it makes it feel a little bit more homespun, as said in the introduction.
Yeah. You obviously had a different approach with each film. We're going to see the other two momentarily. How much did you need to see each project before really fully envisioning the musical themes that you were developing? And what was your approach for each film?
Yeah, each film is very different. I don't want to give spoilers for the second and third film, but I can tell you that it was the process of this one came very much through this sort of very sort of filmic approach of this sort of template track and try to work within this, and here are the beats and here's the energy and that sort of thing. For Overgrown, it was this totally other world, and Kylie and I had all these conversations about, you know, what's the world of this piece? What does this sound like? Who's the right fit for the voice of this? And for Long Road to Freedom, the first piece that was in place was the music. And so the talented collaborators who came on in were already starting from the starting place of this pre-existing piece, Long Road to Freedom.
Beautiful. Becky, your involvement in the film. First of all, how long a process? Mark mentioned this is 20 years in the making from original concept, but I don't know if people fully understand what goes into animation. How long was your involvement? How long did it take you to create, something which is ostensibly like a 5-6 minute movie?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was about 9 months that we were collaborating from conversation through to the final completed work. Initially, it was a lot of wrapping my head around really just understanding the route. Mark has done a great portion of the actual climb. I have never been to Alberta, so I spent a lot of time watching climber videos on YouTube, doing visual research. Eventually, what we ended up doing was actually pulling photographs of the actual locations, because this is a real climb that you can do if you're brave, which apparently I'm not. But the backgrounds were all rotoscoped and based on the actual places. And so a big part of it was building first storyboards, character designs back and forth. I have a specific way of drawing. Mark had a very clear vision in his mind, and then it was sort of compromise back and forth between that. So I think we spent maybe 4 months doing the actual final animation of it. And what you're seeing is mixed media, everything from pencil animation, digital. There are a lot of watercolors in the background. There's some hand-painted scenes, and we really just wanted to try and capture the adventure building from that idea through to completion. So the metaphor, hopefully, was reflected in the visuals as well.
Animation is a big word, covers a lot of styles. You mentioned a few of them there. What is your specific style of animation, and how did you choose how you were going to animate this particular project?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think every artist is different. For me, my approach is very narrative-based, so I change the style of animation that I work within from project to project. Traditionally, I've done a lot of stop motion and hand-drawn 2D animation, but I think that one of the beautiful things about film is that every piece is sort of its own story, and I think needs to have its own visual style, much in the way that we see each of the pieces musically has its own musical style, even though we have the same composer across the board. So I think that my approach is just to understand what the story we're trying to tell is, and then from there to approach it frame by frame. So what you're seeing is animated at 12 frames per second, which means that each minute is 720 unique images. So 5 minutes, we're looking at, now I'm doing math on the spot, a little over 4,000 frames.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, people see the finished product and just think, wow, that was great, but 6 minutes, that's a lot of work that goes into 6 minutes.
It is, and at the very end of our production, inconveniently, there was a massive windstorm, which perhaps some of you were impacted by, so the final frames were actually colored by candlelight.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
we felt
commitment.
like we were on the mountain out there.
Mark, you obviously have a connection to the work of Lauren Harris. How did you first, get involved with the artistry in that respect, and what is your connection to the art that way?
I grew up very close to the McMichael Canadian Collection. So when I was a child, I would walk through this art gallery and see these pieces by Lauren Harris. And I think that, that probably Lauren Harris was my favorite artist before I even knew what an artist was. So just from seeing the images, and it's a larger-than-life piece, all of his work.
You say he was your favorite artist before you even realized. Can you articulate why? What is it about the work?
The gallery itself is an amazing place. I mean, when you walk through it, it has a feel about it, right? And these pieces are very large, and they really epitomize the Canadian wilderness, right? In a way that you can't explain unless you've been out in the wilderness and you see that and feel that larger-than-life feel, right? And Lauren Harris has captured that in a way that is different than real life, but feels sort of very similar.
Bringing all this together, obviously, was a rather large undertaking. So how did everything come together, Mark? How did you bring everybody, together to bring this one film project to fruition?
I mean, this is like a lot of luck that this film got made. Pat, who runs Sing, as you're aware, was out looking for film projects, and we were talking, and I pitched her this film project. She was extremely supportive, and the festival has been extremely supportive. Mm-hmm. And we were able to combine it with Aaron's great work and Becky's great work, and the team sort of just came together once we started talking about it. And it really is a film about being inspired. It starts with one line in the film, and becomes this masterpiece. Aaron's work is very similar. When we started, we weren't really sure what we were going to put behind this film. There was a lot of back and forth, and it started sort of slowly, right, Aaron? It was like a gradual build.
It's like a line. And then it developed.
And then it kept going, and then it kept going, and you know, when you see the end of the film and you get that moment, right? That really is the, you know, the culmination of the work of many, many people, you know, including Lauren Harris, who started that painting with one brush stroke and created a masterpiece.
Including one person you might not even be aware of. Heather Bambrick was in the soundtrack, if you didn't know that. She was one of the voices you heard up there.
And it was,
That's right.
And I have to say, having done it, and then seeing it all together with the visual and everything, it's quite, I can only imagine what it is like for all of you to be involved in it and then to see the final thing all coming together. Now, for the only live action artists in the film, Maya and Brooke, first of all, what was it like for you guys to work on this? Did you have fun on the set?
I had so much fun, and I liked going to the art galleries and stuff and doing, I liked acting in it and stuff.
Yeah. Maya, how about you?
Because we were both in it.
Yeah.
It made it better, and like every single thing I saw in the way, it made me like want to do it more and more and more and more.
Nice. Right? So you might say that, you know, be inspired caused you to be inspired.
Yeah.
Right? I love it. Can you tell us about the chickens there, you guys? One final quick question. Mark, was in fact, did Peter travel with the chicken on any climb?
Peter did not travel with the chicken, but every great climber has a partner. So in this case, the partner was a chicken. And the chicken is the comic relief.
The chicken within, isn't it? Isn't that a metaphor? No.
Oh, conquering the chicken within.
Right? Or embracing the chicken within,
Or embracing the
right?
chicken. See, Becky, right now I'm with you. I've never rock climbed, and so I think I'm fine to embrace my inner chicken.
I love embrace the inner chicken.
Embrace the inner chicken. Thank you very much for what you've put together with this. Thanks for this incredible art that we loved seeing, and we look forward to seeing where else this goes. And also thanks for sharing your ideas. I know we could talk for hours, but we have more films to watch. So how about a hand for this incredible team that put together Be Inspired.
What incredible talent here. This is amazing. I got to tell you something right off the top. This is the first time I've been in this facility. This is an amazing venue. So big round of applause for the folks who did all of this. I love it. By the way, in case you're wondering who the heck I am, my name is Rudy Blair, and I am part of the Sing family. It's the first time this year. And it's been an incredible year, so I got to thank them for asking me to be part of all of this, and even with tonight too. But before I start, I have to say something very quickly because there's an individual in the audience right now. I've been trying to avoid him because I didn't want him to really see me. Somebody I've worked with for many, many years. When I was young, I listened to him on the radio on Chum. And when I was at Rogers, I got to work with him when he was with another legendary broadcaster, Aaron Davis, at CHFI FM 98. Ladies and gentlemen, can you give a big round of applause for radio legend and somebody I've looked up to for many years? Bob McGee is in the audience right here. Love you, Bob. And thank you for all the wonderful years I had a chance to learn from you. So let me make sure that I can do what I can do here, for I've learned from you, my friend. We still got a couple of more films. You guys looking forward to more films? Yeah. All right. Well, here's the next one. This is a fantasy. It's called Overgrown. It's a short film written by Kalia Scott Grimes, featuring jazz icon June Garber in the lead role. With dreams like animation, sequences, and a haunting score, the film is a glimpse into the elderly eviction and how small rituals can help salvage the broken pieces of a personal life. It is a tale that inspires us to stay connected to ourselves and to find hope and dignity in the faces of loss. Now, from the production design and the animation style to the soundscape and the score, the film immerses us in the lead character's interior world, placing senior women's experiences right at the center core. Aaron Jensen, he's amazing because he did the score for this. I think he's done the score for everything, and he's done this in such a unique way. You're going to get a chance to listen to this because the artist that he used is a group of women, Tiva Kaisi, and I hope I've got that pronounced right, from Tuva. And they've performed in many, many places, and he's been able to transform their music into this adaptation. And it's an amazing thing to see and hear. So folks, it is gonna be one of the most special films that you're gonna see here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at Overgrown. Why don't you reintroduce yourself, please?
Well, I mean, I gave such a long, detailed introduction the last time around. My name is Aaron Jensen.
Here we go.
Please welcome to the stage the creators of Overgrown.
Big round of applause, please. And I'm going to ask you all to please give your names and a little bit about your background.
Well, my name is Kylia Scott Grimes, and I am a director and illustrator in Toronto. I like to tell stories of queer magical realism, and I like to make films that are about difficult conversations that we should have but don't know how to start.
Next.
I'm Ragat Charabati. I'm a filmmaker in Toronto, and I love Kylia's work and Atif's work, and I always love collaborating with them whenever the opportunity arises, and this film was a dream.
And saving the best for last.
Hi everyone, I'm Atif Khadamolreza, and I'm also an animator and a filmmaker. I'm so happy that it was a chance to work with you, Kylia. It was a great experience. And working with Ragat is always great, and we always collaborate together. So happy to be here.
Kylia, this is amazing. Where did this story actually come from? Because just watching this, and how long is it? It's about 4 minutes?
Maybe 7?
7 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
it
still
moves
short.
quickly.
It does, it
but
does.
there are so many layers to this. So where did this story actually come from?
So when the Sing Festival folks came to me with this idea that we would make films with a vocal music score, but that it could be anything, you know, that I could possibly dream of, I mean, that's the first time it's ever happened to me, you know, that somebody said you have carte blanche. And I thought about, you know, what was meaningful to me from my childhood? Well, my family used to do these kind of rituals and do these creative things to celebrate actually difficult moments in our lives that we don't have celebrations for. And so I wanted to see if I could bring that to the screen, this idea that if you're going through a difficult time, that you could create some kind of personalized ritual for it that gives you a sense of peace around it and a sense of dignity. And the older women in my life have been so important, but a lot of their stories have been kind of obscured or lost. And so for me, I wanted to put someone like that right at the center of the story, and to have this vocal music score that is almost like her internal monologue, like something that speaks for her because she's not actually speaking in the film.
That part was very amazing. I
Thank
love
you.
that. But what I also loved too was when you're watching it, you see the different layers. You've got the ground here where she is most of the time, but there's another world underneath. And even in some ways, there's another world even above her too that you see towards the end. I want to talk, of course, the one underneath and what that represents.
Yeah, so I guess part of what's exciting for me about magical realism is it's this idea that there are like mysterious parts of life that are there and they're just under the surface. And so the world under the floor is almost like a literal sort of magical space that you can, you know, that she makes her own, and that the objects like decide is kind of their home. And so I wanted to bring animation into that because for me it was like, well, we can't, I don't know how we would have literally had the objects move on their own. And knowing what the two of you were capable of, it, you know, really cracked open my imagination. I thought, like, we can create this something that feels like there's continuity somehow. But I'll let you talk about the animation, actually, if you want to ask about it.
I was going to wait for you to be
yeah.
done, and I want to get right to it
Yeah.
because how do you put that together? How do you represent that in the way you did? Because even though it was hidden, you could still see there was growth to it also.
Kylia came to us with a very clear concept. I'm usually a writer and a director myself, and so is Atife. So we usually are our own bosses. But with Kylia, with Kai being the boss, she really gave us a lot of freedom, but it was only because she knew exactly what the story was supposed to be. So Kai's vision was really what guided us, and it didn't take too much of us. I mean, Kai provided us with all the objects that you see. Kai made them or found them.
Do you
or
want to
brought
talk about how it was photographed? Because I think it's hard to imagine like how it was even put together, but...
They're all real objects. Kai came to us with them. Really beautiful, very tiny and like meticulously made. Atif and I set up a little photo shoot for them. So we took photos of them, each of them, and then we just photoshopped every single object in different angles. My main job was to animate their movement. So I did a lot of the compositing, the animation of the objects underground. Kai, they had a really clear shot list that we were able to follow, but really how they moved and what they looked like in the background was all up to us. And it really meshed together. And Atif did the other really hefty part of the animation, which is, do you want to talk about it, Ati?
At the beginning, we didn't know what kind of style we will use for this animation. We tried to search, and then we see different kind of animation. We talk with Kylia, and then finally we decided to choose to combine two different kind of animation, like After Effects and composing, and also drawing frame by frame. And as Roger said, he did the part of the like the movement, the objects, and I was doing the growing up the leaves and. Yeah, so it was, I started drawing frame by frame, 12 frames each second, and it cost lots of, more than 1,000 painting, but it was like very interesting because I love fantasy and I love the style of Kylia, and based on her storyboard, we started working and it was very clear, and our way was like very clear for us to the end, yeah.
Well, let's get to the musical part of it, sir. Who is that group again? Because I want to make sure I pronounced them correctly, because I wasn't sure if I did or not.
Tiva-Kizi is the name of the group. And they are, when Kylia brought this concept to me, there was an ensemble that I met at when Countermeasure was on tour in Washington, D.C. some years back. And these women, Tiva-Kizi means daughters of Tuva. And for any of you who don't know, overtone singing is very common in Tuvan culture, but it is exclusively performed by male singers. And Tiva-Kizi is the only female group who performs in this traditional fashion. And they're also 12 hours different than Canada, so as we were recording this remotely with a 2-month-old the next room over, I was tuning in at 2 in the morning and starting the session, that sort of thing. And anytime, there was actually quite a lot of language barrier, and so we communicated through singing a lot to each other as I was trying to communicate something with a score, but at the end of the day, like, who am I? I'm trying to capture the magic of their music, the timelessness of their music, and so it is as much a conversation of me offering a line and them offering it back and modifying it to make it make sense for them. And
so this was all original music. This is
Yes.
nothing that they recorded before.
It's all original music, and it was composed for the score. Even the score expanded and contracted as we went along. The one major contribution, in addition to their incredible voices, we were discussing, like, would we want to have lyrics added to this? We definitely don't want English lyrics, because that would make this feel kind of like a piece like this. I feel like that would get in the way of the story. But they contributed lyric to it in such a beautiful way, because the eccentricities of the language brought different color to it. Like the word home in Tuvan can either mean country or it can mean nest. And so she was very clear about, like, are we talking about home as in country or like home as in nest? And so, like, really digging into, like, this is nest. Yes, that's the word. Or like trying to like color with their language, and it was just such a beautiful conversation.
And I'm just curious, as a guy who loves recordings, did you guys record this first and then put it together, or did they watch the film itself?
No, there is somewhere in an archive that will never see the light of day, there's a version of this score that is me approximating all of those parts and giving it to them so cap in hand of like, here's my Tuvan rendition of your beautiful music. Can you do this? Because they don't, well, two of them didn't read music, so it was just communicating through conversation and through by learning by ear.
That's incredible.
Aaron had sent me this temp track that he had sung, and so that's what I had going into production. The day that we shot, I had listened to it a couple days before. Normally you'd write the music afterwards, but the time constraints we had, it had to be written ahead of time. So that was all like Aaron imagining what I was imagining, and it somehow like was this very beautiful fusion. Yeah.
And I'm going to give you the last question. What is the true meaning behind this film? Because you can take it in so many different ways. You can take it as a beautiful film. Your heart can break at the same time too. For you in creating this, what was the true meaning behind this?
To speak in general terms, it's that if something is difficult for you, that you can find a personalized way of coming to terms with it, and that there are other things in your life that are there to take care of you, whether they're living or not. Maybe it's your space, maybe it's your objects, like that there's always something there that's looking out for you the way that you've looked out for them.
It's almost like when we were kids, we always had that little, our secret place. It was our place.
Yeah,
nobody else
exactly.
had it.
And we can still have that when we're 80.
Looking forward to mine. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a big round of applause. Overgrown.
Thank you.
Our next film is called Long Road to Freedom. And it is an introspective dance film created by Cameron Walker and starring Linette Doherty as the dancer and Dwayne Morgan, performing spoken word poetry with a musical composition composed by Aaron Jensen. The film narrates the struggle racialized people face expressing life journey for a dancer coming to terms with the bigotry she faces and finds the strength inside herself to preserve. The film reflects on layers approaching to its inspiration. Instead of beginning with scripts or narrative, the musical pieces are composed first, which inspired the spoken word poetry, which inspired the specific dance choreography, which lastly informed the specific style of cinematography used in the film. Before it was adapted into a short film, Long Road to Freedom started as a standalone musical composition by Aaron Jensen, commissioned by Classical Movements and premiered by Countermeasure Aca-Film at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., in honor of Nelson Mandela's 100th anniversary. The score explores the concept of representation. As a choral work with no text, the story is told in an abstract style. This musical structure is meant to echo the true reconciliation commission in post-apartheid South Africa. The first movement represents the personal accounts being shared. The second movement represents how these stories are processed as phrases interweaved in a conversation. And through this process, it's something that is going to be very special for all of us to see. In the final movement, the opening theme is repeated, but this time it is a powerful and uplifting experience. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at Long Road to Freedom.
The world is mine, and the future belongs to me. I grew up hearing these things, which allowed me to dream of who I wanted to be, the things I wanted to do, places I wanted to see, the person that I wanted to become. But the future is a promise, and a promise is a comfort to a fool. because we are stuck here in the present, and the present plays by different rules. This reality has made me numb. The rhetoric isn't as it seems, because when you look like me, you are seen as nothing but the color of your skin, leaving me feeling like a firefly, trapped in a jar, unable to escape the lid. I find it hard, sitting in silence, surrounded by more questions than answers, inner turmoil that rages like riots, just me and my thoughts. Plotting my escape and emancipation, slowly beginning to find myself, my voice, my meaning, my purpose, my way, my why. I've lost count of the number of times that they've tried to bury me alive, but still, like dust, I rise, I smile, even when broken, even when hope went to find a path of its own. I survive on instincts alone in a world that doesn't want me here, that doesn't care about my humanity, but wants to feel my skin and touch my hair because it's exotic. I am a fetish, a token, a check mark, a shadow in the dark, trying to find its way home. I hide my internal rage, like dark secrets and white lies. I am the new maid unearthing the history they tried to hide under the rug, and they don't like that. So I walk the line, living with the risk of being thrown overboard if I dare rock the boat. I try not to choke on the words stuck in my throat. There's a hand over my mouth that clamps down if I am too loud, too quiet, too black, too light, too pretty, too ugly, too much for them. I find myself a voyeur to the injustices designed to break my spirit. I'm a mime trapped in a box I can't see, but finding strength in those who've come before me. Umbrellas for weathering internal storms while finding inner strength for the external wars. Fought on a daily basis with people and places who don't know my strength. Eyes wide open, I see more clearly, know my place and power, stand firmly in my purpose. I am deeply rooted, a seed not easily swayed by the winds of injustice, but a tree with leaves the hue of resilience. I am emboldened to be the change, to lead the change toward freedom for myself and others. Life has taught me how to play the game, how to swallow anger and pride like bitter pills, to turn resentments into possibilities, rebuilding myself from the inside out. I provide permission for those still imprisoned to emancipate themselves into a new light, a new reality where we can truly be all that we've ever dreamed. Before we were confronted by this reality, I am reminded that I am not the first, nor will I be the last. So I paint with the past to masterpiece in the present. My presence is somewhere between a masterpiece and a piece of old masters. So I shine bright, no longer concerned about the shadows that I may cast. My present, powered by my past, a long road to freedom, free at last.
Oh my goodness, that gave me shivers watching that. Let's talk to our creators, our guests. Starting off with, if you can give me your name, please, and your part of the film.
All right, Dwayne Morgan, writer, spoken word artist.
Next.
I'm Linette Doherty. I'm the dancer and the choreographer.
Next.
Aaron Jensen, music composer.
Next, please.
Howdy, I'm Cameron Walker. I'm the director.
And once again, saving the best for last.
Hi, I'm Rachel Liley. I'm the co-producer on this.
Cameron, we had a chance to talk earlier. You said that this was created during the pandemic?
Yes.
What was the inspiration to do it during that time? Because a lot of things were locked down, and I know I've talked to a lot of people in the arts, and just trying to do anything was really difficult. Getting location, being allowed to have this amount of people, not allowed to have this amount. It was crazy. What was it like to be able to create such a wonderful piece?
Well, yeah, it was an interesting time to be making it. We were very lucky that we got some really wonderful locations, though, that gave us kind of the freedom to be able to have the safety, have a COVID officer on site.
And sorry to jump in, where was the location?
Our exterior locations were at the McMichael Gallery, and then our interiors were at the historic Albion Hotel in Guelph.
Okay, and sorry, I interrupted.
I was just going to say, we filmed a lot of it inside the Albion while it was under construction. And the Albion, it's an amazing location with lots of cool stuff inside, including collapsed rum running tunnels. So it was a unique place to be able to film it.
So you guys didn't have any real problems with any of the authorities at that time?
Yes. Wait a minute. There was a tiny one that we did unfortunately actually lose a few crew members because it was kind of in that time where they were just kind of putting the restrictions into place. So we unfortunately lost some because they hadn't had time to get vaccinated before McMichael had said, like, you have to be vaccinated, we have to have your papers. So we had to kind of like at the last minute scramble to kind of trade in a few crew members just so that we could have the full crew for when we were shooting there.
Amazing. And I want to make sure I have it correct. The spoken word poetry was first before this, or no, it was the other way around? Music was first.
Yeah, so it was music,
yeah.
And then Linette came on board, so we kind of developed a basic idea of the story that we wanted to tell and what we kind of wanted to express. And then in our conversations, we felt like we wanted to have a little bit something more there, so then we said, like, let's get a spoken word artist in here. And Pat knew Dwayne and was like, oh, you've got to work with this guy. So we brought Dwayne on. So it kind of went Aaron, Linette, then kind of back to Aaron, then to Dwayne, then to Linette, and then kind of I came in with the kind of doing the cinematography and finding the right locations to kind of express the emotional tone of each of the scenes and dances that Linette had built.
Okay, so let me go to the music part then. What was the music originally supposed to be to what it turned up to be?
So this piece premiered at the Kennedy Center as a standalone piece honoring Nelson Mandela's 100th anniversary. And there were composers from around the world that had been brought in to bring different facets of Nelson Mandela's life to the stage, to music. And that is a very, that is a tall order. And as a white Canadian feeling like, what is my entry point in this? How can I contribute? And as part of this greater scope, we've got music from South Africa, music from Czech Republic, music from whatever else, and I'm bringing something from Canada. I was in no way prepared to write anything with lyric. This is not my story to tell. And so in communication with Serenade and with who were actually in touch with the Mandela family, what we settled on was establishing a theme, a musical theme, which then gets played in retrograde, and through taking the actual lines of the piece and reversing them, and then coming back to it in this sort of triumphant final third movement that gives you the shape of undoing past wrongs through a literal reversion of the music was the idea. Coming at it through some abstraction was a way that I was able to approach this very important subject matter.
Okay, so then next was dance, or?
Yeah, so then next we brought on Linette.
Okay, so let's talk about what you interpreted into this music and what we had a chance to see.
Yeah, actually that idea of it, I don't know if you remember, I had asked Aaron at the beginning, I said, before I'm going to create anything to this, the music already exists. does that mean anything? Are there words, are there themes that I can kind of bring in through movement as well? And that's when you said, there aren't words, but that it kind of goes backwards. And I went, oh, I wonder if I can echo that in movement. So there are pieces, there are phrases that are created that I could then reverse the order of and dance it in reverse to kind of come through at the end. But the next piece from it, I had the music, and once we knew we were going to add spoken word, I thought there's a rhythm and a cadence to the way Dwayne speaks, and I needed that first before I can create anything to it, because otherwise I would create movement that doesn't really fit. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have the same accents or the same emphasis in where his words are, because Dwayne's spoken word piece to it, your voice in it is musical. So that was actually the next piece that came in. So I came on board to the project next, but I didn't really finish what I was bringing to it until I could hear a track with Dwayne. And that was also a little bit COVID-y because we couldn't all create together, right? I had to I heard the music, I heard a track from Dwayne, but we hadn't met each other. It was all, everybody was isolated. I was just working in the studio by myself.
Okay, before I get to Dwayne, what you wore, why did you decide the dress wear that you wore?
I wanted something kind of earth-toned and naturalistic looking, not the sequins for that piece, but just something that felt that it would kind of, I knew we were going to do some outdoor scenes with it, and so I thought something that kind of looks like it can belong in that world and not really be flashy out of it.
Okay, so now let's get to the spoken word, which was amazing. Where did you find those beautiful words to say?
Well, in conversation with the rest of the team, we kind of had an idea of what we wanted the vision to be and what we wanted to have expressed. The hard part was just figuring out how to express it, in this kind of way. So when I got the music, I realized that the music, to my ear, was kind of broken down into a lot of parts. So I had to look at it and be like, all right, this opening part is 25 seconds, so I need to write a 25-second poem, and then I need to write a 13-second poem that fits with the 25 seconds I wrote before. So it ended up being like 7 different mini poems that all kind of work together to go with the different moods of the music. So every time the music shifted, the tone of what I was doing shifted with it.
Personally, is this one of your best that you've ever written?
I mean, this is hard to say. I mean,
they're all your babies.
If I'm being honest here, but I think because it was so unique and because it was collaborative, usually a lot of the work that I do is, I just do it on my own. And when I'm good with it, I'm good. But in this situation, I had to send it out in an email to a bunch of people, and then people kept on writing back and say, I thought it was great. And people were like, yeah, but this line here, can we... So I'm not used to that, having people have a say in what it is that I do, but I think the end result ended up being quite awesome because of all of the input from all of the different people.
I'm just curious, has the Mandela family seen this, or have they had a chance to see this? Do we know this?
That's a very good question. I'll have to get back to you on that.
And any chance that South Africa will get a chance to see this? Because I know they have their own film festival too.
Actually, I'm not sure if we applied to that. Thank you. That's an excellent
no
idea.
Problem. No problem. And one last question, of course. Again, and I'm going to let each of you say for yourself, what do you hope that people are going to find in themselves from watching this film? Start with you.
I think it's really about perseverance and resilience, and life is never going to be perfect. Everyone's life is going to have obstacles, and it's a matter of what we do with those obstacles. So I think for me, that hope, I wanted to end on an idea of hope, and that regardless of what our journey is, there is always that hope for better and hope for a new day, and every new day gives us a great opportunity to create something beautiful. So that's it.
Next.
Yeah, I'm going to latch on to that. I think hope is the word that comes to my mind when I think of it through the end. There's there's a journey through a lot of things, and I think that started even from when you first wrote the piece, right? Looking at Nelson Mandela's journey. And not all of us are going to have anything that extreme or face anything that extreme, but we all are going to struggle with things in our life that we overcome, and that there's hope in, you know, what you face going forward, how you've come out of it, and what you become out of it, and then how you face what's going after.
Aaron, I'm changing your question very
please.
quickly. Because did you ever imagine that what you originally put together would turn out to be what we get a chance to see?
Absolutely not.
Did you love it?
Yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. Collaboration is my favorite thing in the world, and so sitting alone in your little like cave is nothing compared to being able to have all of these incredible artists bringing their own life and language and craft to a piece. So that's always my favorite.
I'm going back to the old question for you. No, we had to switch it. Yep. Well, you hope people.
I was actually going to say, like, just it kind of popped into my mind, but there's one idea that me and Linette discussed very early on that I'm kind of now realizing was quite meaningful. Of this, she does the same dance in the different locations, but the locations change the dance, but it's still the same dance. And to me, that kind of speaks to the power of self. That as we experience challenges that are exterior to us as she's moving from one location to another, and you know they keep becoming smaller and kind of more difficult, she's still the same person. And so, you know, she finds a way to bring herself out of those challenges by the power of who she is, because the dance stays the same, but she changes to the challenges that she faces. So it speaks to the kind of the power inside of us.
And?
What I hope people get out of this is pretty much, I hope they share an experience like I did. I spent nearly every step of this process, this whole production, gasping the first time I heard the music. I went, the first time I listened to the first draft, well, I read the first draft of the poem, I went, first of all, you got no notes from me. And the first time I was watching the dance as it was being filmed, I had to quietly go till I realized we were not filming with sound, and then I could go, oh my God, these are experiences that I will never have because I'm a white presenting woman from suburban Canada, but I was able to glean an understanding of the subject matter through the powerful messages of dance and spoken word. So I hope people get something similar to what I was able to get out of it, which is understanding and just being able to gasp at the art.
This is an amazing concept. Honestly, I think this is the best combination I've ever seen for spoken word, dance, and music put together. I've never seen anything like this before. I don't think I'm ever going to see anything like this again. Big round of applause, folks. You folks definitely deserve that. Thank you so much for such an incredible film.
Thanks a lot, Rudy. How are we doing tonight? How are we feeling, everyone? We have a combination of a couple of incredible things. First of all, the love of Canada. Any proud Canadians in the auditorium tonight? Yeah, make some noise. Any music lovers in the auditorium tonight, make some noise. Amazing. I'm a 70s baby, so if people say, well, Kiri, what does that mean, you're a 70s baby? Well, 70s babies meant that, first of all, we were birthed in music, whether it was Bob Marley, Bob Seger, or Bob and Doug McKenzie. It was all good. And of course, proud to be Canadian, proud to be here, such an amazing and diverse plethora of creative talents. Another round of applause for all the creators, directors, producers, performers. Incredible. Absolutely stellar. And I have to echo the words of course, my friend that was just on the stage a moment ago, Bob McGee. He is here in the audience, and you were certainly an inspiration for me as well. My name is Kiri Lee Crawford. I am a very proud and humbled board member, Sing, of course, International Vocal Arts Festival, so a board member as well, on air for 15 years between G90 H7 FM and Flow 93.5. I spent 15 years in Toronto on the airwaves, and really, Rudy Blair, you were a big inspiration for me. Huge inspiration as for you, Bob McGee. And so as we talk about inspiration, I met them now, I might be showing my age just a little bit, but I met them over 10 years ago. I cannot believe how time flies. And though, they might have gained a little bit of weight, no, JM, I'm just playing. But no, what happens is over the 10 years, since forming in 2010, Countermeasure has earned a series of standing ovations and critical acclaim worldwide. Led by award-winning composer, producer, of course, Mr. Aaron Jensen, the group has recorded 4 albums, including tracks with Grammy and Juno award-winning artists Randy Brecker, Larnell Lewis, and more. Countermeasure features 12 of Canada's top vocal talents, performing innovative arrangements of pop favorites, classic jazz standards, and original songs in flawless harmony. Their diverse songbook has equipped the group to headline festivals, entice clubgoers onto the dance floor, incorporating innovative live looping, instrument imitation, and vocal percussions. Countermeasure enthralls their audience is worldwide with their dramatically choreographed shows and flawless harmonies. Countermeasure albums have been recognized with multiple awards. The group is mounting an orchestral program with the Burlington New Millennium Orchestra under the direction of Charles Cousins. You can see and find out more at countermeasuremusic.com. Now, of course, because of the pandemic, they were on a hiatus for a couple of years, but they are back, they are together, and they are here to do their thing for you. Please put your hands together for Countermeasure.
You are the cool, cool side of my pillow in the heat of night. You are the first bite of a meal. You're the firelight. When I get restless, you set me down at the edge of your easy shore. Sure as the sun, I'm restored. You are the warmth, fresh from the driest sweater. You're a letter in the mail. Our story is equal parts history, drama and fairy tale. Took it all for granted. You slowed me down, got me seeing the day like the first time around. Because a love so deep lives in the moments between. A love so deep lives in the moments between. We know a love so deep lives in the moments between. Yes, a love so deep lives in the moments between. You are the words I heard before. You're the song I'll never forget. You tell me you like to move you and I closer in the alphabet. When I get anxious, you let me go. 'Cause you know that I want to be found. Got me greeting the day like the first time around. Because a love so deep lives in the moments between. A love so deep lives in the moments between. We know a love so deep lives in the moments between. Yes, a love so deep lives in the moments between. of my pillow in the heat of night. You are the first bite of a meal. You're the firelight. When I get anxious, you let me go. 'Cause you know that I want to be found. It's the sweetest thing to know you'll be found. You're the sweetest thing I've ever found.
This next song will be performed for you by the ladies of Countermeasure, and the text of this song comes from the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poem called The Soul's Expression. And in the poem, it speaks about how, especially as a woman in the world, it can be so difficult to speak your truth without fear of consequence or of retribution. But on the other hand, it can be just as difficult to wear a mask to the world and to hide your authentic self. And as a group, we really resonated with this message, and what we have found is that through performing it, we have formed a sisterhood whereby when we stand and when we sing together, we really find the courage to express our authentic selves. And if there are consequences, then we'll face them together. This is Into the Air.
With stammering lips and insufficient sound, I strive and struggle to deliver right the music of my nature day and night. With dream, thought, and feeling, with dream, thought, and feeling, with dream, thought, and feeling intertwined. And only answering all the senses round with octaves of a mystic depth and height, which step out grandly from the infinite, from the dark, dark edges, from the darkest edges, the dark, dark edges of the sensual ground. The song of soul I struggle to outbear through portals of the sense sublime and whole, and utter all myself into the air. But if I did as the thunder rolled, breaks its own cloud, my flesh would surely perish and my breath be short. Yes, if I did the thunder roll, break its own cloud, be thought and dreaded, ending of the soul. With stammering lips and insufficient sound, I strive and struggle to deliver right the music of my nature day and night, with dream, thought, and feeling intertwined. The song of soul I struggle to outbear through portals of the sense sublime and whole, and utter all myself into the air.
Thank you so much. We are nearing the end of our program. A few years ago, we had the opportunity to tour to Scotland, and it was a really wonderful experience. But we felt that leading up to this tour, it'd be special if we could treat the Scottish to one of their own. So we dug deep, we found this beautiful old Scottish love song, and we thought we would share that with you this evening. Can I get an E there, Chris? When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. And when I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. When I come home, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's coming home to you. And when I grow old, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's growing old with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I walk 500 miles just to be the man who'd walk 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I'll send almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And when I'm dreaming, oh, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I walk 500 miles just to be the man who'd walk 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm lonely, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. When I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. When I get down, I'm gonna. When I come home, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. 2, 3. But
Hold on, Countermeasure. I'm sorry. I have to cut you off here. As Canadian ambassador, I can't stand for this. In Canada, we don't use miles. We don't use the imperial system.
You'd think we'd learn by now. We think it's proper to give you a correct chorus of this song. Are you with me? Yeah? Are you with me? You better be. 2, 3. But I would walk 804.672 kilometers. And I would walk
804.672 kilometers.
Just to be the man who'd walk
a very large number of kilometers
to fall down at your door. Just to be the man who'd walk 1,000 miles on the face of the cloud. And that's our attempt at a Scottish song. Hey!
Listen, thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Did you have a great time? Such a beautiful performance. So we certainly want to thank our hosts, our Sing volunteers, wherever you are, and the fantastic staff here at the Burlington Performing Arts Centre. Let's hear it for them. All the staff, the wonderful people. all the people behind the scenes. You did everything to make this an extra special night for us. Our thanks to all of tonight's fantastic performers. Another round of applause so they can hear you down the hall. That's so. And to our film funders, Canada Council for the Arts, and our film patrons, Dr. Victoria Lee and Dr. Philip Hebert, for supporting this wonderful project. Please sign up for the Sing mailing list with one of our volunteers. We'd love to have you on our mailing list and tell you what Sing's doing all year round so that you're always informed about our concerts and our workshops. Sing has created some magnificent things. They're really the first a cappella festival of its kind in all of Canada, and now they've expanded in different places around the world. So we are so thrilled that you were able to be here tonight and to hear Countermeasure a cappella in all their glory, and to see the films that were created and the a cappella soundtrack that they put together for those films. Did you love that? Yeah, I thought it was so good. Thank you so much for tonight, and you've been a wonderful audience. We hope we see you all again, and thank you.
We're going to leave you with maybe the first song that we've ever sung together. This is called This Moment Now.
Above the green, beneath the sky, somewhere between beginning and goodbye, what's past is set, what's yet unknown. This moment now is all we'll ever own. They say that when one lives in haste, of mice and men, the best laid plans can fall to waste, and those who stray